Sonic Adventure is my favorite game of all time, and I feel like it gets a lot of flack. Some of it deserved, and some of it not so much. But for this video, I just want to talk about the start of Sonic Adventure, and why I think it's pretty cool. When I say the start of Sonic Adventure, I don't mean the opening scene where Open Your Heart plays. I'm specifically talking about the beginning of the game where you play as Sonic. Now, I want you to imagine that you've never played a Sonic game. In fact, let's say you've never played a game at all. Something about that blue rat and his weird yet mesmerizing pose called to you for some reason, so you bought a Dreamcast and bought Sonic Adventure as well. You bring the console home, set it up, and learn what some of the buttons do. The A button to continue, the B button to return. Great job! You're now ready to go on your Sonic Adventure. Loading up Sonic Adventure, you're greeted with one of the loudest menu musics you've ever heard. But you've come too far to be turned away by loud music, so you push on. So you're ready to start your game and select your character. Sonic is the only choice you get, so you'll select him. Now, what you see here are a few options to pick from. You have play, and that other button you didn't select. You see, Sonic Adventure tries to teach you how to play multiple times before you actually begin playing. First of all, you have the game's manual, and if you're anything like I was, you completely ignored the words in the manual and just looked at the pretty pictures. Next, you have a chance to hit instructions, and again, if you're anything like I was when I was a kid, you could barely read the word game, so instructions was unknown and dangerous territory. So you start the game and the first cutscene plays out. Now, I'm gonna play it here, and in this cutscene, the game shows you pretty much all of Sonic's moveset right at the start of the game. It shows Sonic jumping from building to building. Now, this isn't something Sonic can technically do, but you do get jump pads in the game, so it's kind of the same, I guess? Maybe? So after that, Sonic jumps down and does a spin dash. Now, this sets the idea that Sonic can freely do this move. It shows that there's a charge up, even though there is no charge up and you can just spam it. But it shows you that Sonic can roll into a ball and speed off in the direction you're facing. Further down the cutscene, we see Sonic not only jump into a ball, but he can also launch himself forward. That shows you another move that Sonic can do. Not only that, but before the boss fight even starts, and after Sonic does the homing attack, he lands on two rings. This guarantees that you won't be killed in one hit, but it also shows you that this is something you can collect. It's also what keeps Sonic alive after taking a hit, and this keeps you from losing a life. In this boss fight, the devs thought to make the enemy's brain glow. This dilates your pupils, making neurons fire in your brain, causing new synapses to be formed. Like a fish drawn to the glow of an anglerfish, this too causes your fish brain to want to get near the glow. Even if you happen to lose this boss fight, the game will now explain to you how to play and how to use a homing attack and what the rings are for. What I like about this is that everything is explained to you in one cutscene. Sonic's entire moveset is shown to you in one cutscene, with no need to show you a button prompt or to stop the game and explain to you how to do anything. And I get it. There are a lot of games that show you what buttons to hit to do an action that are much more complicated than what Sonic Adventure is. And still, Sonic Adventure does tell you how to use new moves when you unlock them, like the Lightspeed Dash and other unlockable moves. A game like Sonic Adventure 2 gives you someone to explain how to use some of the new moves, and the somersault is a perfect example of this. But showing Sonic use the somersault first would show the player that this is probably something Sonic can do. Just like in Sonic Adventure 1, SA2 uses the same controls, and two of the buttons do the exact same thing. And I'm sure you can figure out how to get past this without someone telling you on how to do it. Or even grind on a rail in SA2. It's bright red and placed in the middle of a narrow stairway. It's designed well to stand out. Not only that, the devs placed rings on top of the rail. Maybe, just maybe, I can jump on this thing. And it works. Another thing is, when you're on this rail, Sonic begins to lean, showing you that he can lean and lose his balance. No other straight rail in the game does this as far as I can tell. But again, it's clever on how it's displayed to you without having to have someone explain the mechanic to you. SA2 again explains to you that you can chain homing attacks to destroy multiple enemies. This is something it shouldn't have to explain, but it does. And they tell you this when you're about halfway through with the level. The first Sonic Adventure doesn't do this. The first time you chain a homing attack is when you're in Windy Valley, and the game just puts a ring box there. That's what it's called, please don't dox me. And has floating windmill things there, and it works. I'm not saying Sonic Adventure 2 is bad for explaining how to play the game. It handles explaining how to play well because you don't have to talk to Omochao. And even if you do, it's not intrusive where a giant text box appears and you have to hit a button to continue. I mean, look, for Sonic Heroes, when you play as Team Rose, the game explains everything to you, but it also stops you in your tracks to explain it. all momentum is lost and you lose control of the character. The worst part is this is only for Team Rose, and nobody picks Team Rose first. So you're gonna have to go through this after you most likely beaten another character's story. Even Sonic Adventure is guilty of this too. In the first stage, Tikal tells you how to use the jump pads, and in the second stage she explains that the wind is making an invisible path. Then again, she explains how to use the jump pads. But I can excuse this because you can completely skip the first set of jump pads in the first level and miss her talking about it. Looking back at this, I'd say SA2 handles explaining the rest of the game better than Sonic Adventure 1 does. Because even when you're in late levels in Sonic Adventure 1, Tikal will still explain new mechanics. In a way, I guess you can say that the game also shows you the other characters' moveset as well before you actually play as them, but not nearly as well as it does with Sonic. When you unlock Tails, you can play as him right away after the first stage, but if you don't, he follows Sonic around in the next stage, and here you can see that he flies. When you unlock Knuckles, it's during a mini boss fight, and you can see most of his moveset here. He can punch and he can glide. The same thing can be said for Gamma. When you first see him, it's during a boss fight, and again, you learn some of his moveset this way. He can shoot and he can fly. Next, you have Amy and Big, and there's nothing to explain for these two. And Big is what needs to be explained the most on how he plays, so please, go through the tutorial at the beginning of the game. Or you'll end up like me when I was a kid and give up and never finish the game. I apologize I went off on this tangent, but I wanted to explain on how both of these games handle explaining their mechanics, and especially the first Sonic Adventure game. Because it's my favorite game of all time, and I'd love to do a video about it one day. I didn't even mention the hub world where you can mess around and learn how to use the character controls before you're even in a level. Now, one thing I want to say before I end this video is that these are the same developers that thought putting an obese purple cat with a fishing minigame in without telling you that you have to push down on the thumbstick when you hook a fish in order to keep it from coming off the line. So I might be giving them too much credit for this, and for all I know, this can be 100% coincidental.